and welcome to the Extra Lap, the show that we created because there is just so much action that happens in the Gran Turismo Championships. We felt like we just needed a bit of a recap at the end to just figure out exactly what just happened. So we've just seen some incredible Manufacturer Series action today with Mercedes walking away again with the championship title, which is pretty spectacular. Talking to the guys, actually, it's been really interesting to see how they've been using their strategies and really sticking to them. And this kind of shake-up with the new Manufacturers Series is it's really interesting as well, because whereas before we had sort of 3 single races and then 1 final race where all the drivers switched around, this time round we just had 2 races, but in each of these 2 races, each of the drivers had to race. So suddenly, team, conversation over the radio and strategy all comes into play. And actually what a lot of the racers have been saying, it's sort of quite nice to have everyone kind of on your back about what the strategy is and sort of in your ear as you're racing to sort of take a lot of that pressure off. Because with single races, it's great, but again, you feel like your whole team pressure on your shoulders. Whereas this time around, it's kind of evenly spread out. So whatever your strategy, and whether that's, Anthony Felix just doing a single lap because that makes the most sense to your team, that's what you're going to do. So in just a few minutes, we're going to be tracking down to Tom and Jimmy, because they're going to have actually some of the representatives from the teams that have won, and to find out exactly what that strategy is, because now more than ever, these guys have really got to start thinking and planning how they're going to drive. You can't just get in the car and go. So let's find out from some of our winners. Let's chuck it down to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Julia. Welcome down onto the floor here at Salzburg. Then it's the venue, of course, for our World Tour 4 event for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. Jimmy Broadbent alongside me, and also we've got position top 3 teams from the Manufacturer Series. Cody Lukowski from Mercedes-Benz, Tristan Bayliss from Team Porsche, looking very proud there, and Sly Bishop on the outside from Team Toyota. Boys, what a brilliant day of racing it's been. Cody, let's start with yourself first. How are you feeling after that one? You were pretty speechless earlier on.
Again, for the second time in a row, I'm speechless. I mean, again, we've done everything right. We took every opportunity we had. The rain was never going to be very strong for us. I mean, we are the best FR car there, but we took every opportunity we possibly could. We went for overtakes that might have been a little bit risky, and in the end it paid out. So we knew that we were never going to be so strong, but Spa is our track. we like all of the drivers that we have from Mercedes, they love it. They can't get enough of it. They just can't wait to drive on it as soon as possible. And we knew coming into that race, we had a good car. We had the strategy, we had to actually figure it out on the fly, but yeah, it was all these little pieces of a puzzle that we put together, and it just made this one big picture, and it's resulted in another first place. I couldn't be happier.
I mean, did you guys feel a pressure coming in? I mean, you just off the bat of a win in New York, you come in here looking really strong. I mean, I know I'd probably crumble under that. I mean, did you feel that when you were driving, or? I
mean, we definitely felt that in qualifying. For sure. I mean, Tom, he did an amazing job in the general qualifier, putting us in first place. In the top 6 qualifier, we were starting to feel like we knew those MR cars. They're just so menacing in the corners. We couldn't really do much about it. And yeah, we started 4th. We went to 5th in the race. We were thinking, our chances are not so high here. You see the people in front starting to fight, and we just knew, yep, that's our shot. We're going to go for it. We're not going to let the pressure get to us. We've won. That doesn't change anything. We consider all manufacturers equally. We consider them all an equal threat, partner or partner not, or just any other manufacturer in the game. And we're always going to try our best. And that's the motto of Mercedes-Benz. It's the best or nothing. We're just never going to give up.
Well, you certainly tried the best, and you got the best result today there, Cody. Congratulations. Tristan Bayliss. Tristan, a new face to the World Tour. Great to have you here. Look out.
He's loving it.
Your grin's as wide as the runway at Salzburg, mate. I mean, that is... How are you feeling? Second place. Not bad, eh?
I'm feeling good.
You think?
I want to take this opportunity first to thank my teammates, Tatsuya and Daniel, who did an outstanding job, and this certainly wouldn't have been possible without their efforts. We knew we had a good package going in, especially on the wet tracks. Spa was kind of an unknown. I don't think any of us had really been too familiar with it going in, but we communicated with great aplomb during the pre-race and the practice, figured out strategies beforehand, figured out all sorts of stuff, and it resulted in us coalescing into a very effective team.
How have you found this experience? You've come all the way over the ocean here to Europe, and being here in, of course, Hangar-7, all the lights on you, the crowd, got us shouting over the top of you as well.
Yep.
Quite distracting, I imagine. Do you find you have to try and tune that out when you're racing around?
Yeah, this was I was at the regional finals in Las Vegas, and that was held in a nightclub with all sorts of dazzling lights, and I have to admit that was pretty distracting for a first-timer. And it was a similar, very high production value here, so I certainly had to consider that. But I think that the preparation I mentioned calmed the nerves very effectively, and it ended up being almost a non-issue.
What do you think it was that helped your team achieve the result that it was today?
Good tire strategy, doing only one lap on hards in the second race, and focusing on not outright pace but consistency for the wet race. We knew that a spin was going to cost something like 10 to 15 seconds to recover from. So we went at our own pace, we stayed comfortable, and here we are.
Oh, congratulations, Tristan.
Thank
Great
you.
result for yourself and the
much.
Porsche team. Cy Bishop, you're like a bad penny, mate. We can't seem to get rid of you. You always seem to be up here. I mean that in the nicest way possible. How are you feeling? Another top 3 finish for Toyota.
Well, yeah, I don't think if you'd asked me earlier on today that I would have been sat here, to be honest. Even for the rest of our team. We were started 11th on the grid. The car was probably the worst in the wet. It was just horrible to drive. But we just knew that if we stayed clean, we'd have a good race. And I thought, well, okay, these guys are going to crash each other off in the first corner, and then nobody did.
I was hoping for it.
And then I thought, okay, maybe the second corner, and then nobody did, and I was But then we managed to get in 8th place, which I think was overachieving for us. And then moving on to the second race, we just knew we had to get Yamanaka into the car in a position to battle. And you saw that when he gets in the car, he's just a man possessed. So after that, we knew we'd have a reasonable chance for a result, and it paid off for us.
We're seeing a lot of people struggle on the hard tyre at the end. A lot of people were coming out the pits, going over the top of Radeon, and then they get that quick penalty. How was it on that hard compounder tyre? Because being out, you see how much of a difference that soft makes when you're out there. Yamanaka on it looks like he's going around 2 seconds, 3 seconds that quicker, but in reality, he is going around 2 seconds, 3 seconds that quicker.
Yeah, it's all about minimising the time loss when you're on those tyres. It's not how fast you go, it's minimising the mistakes and making sure that you're not hurting yourself as much as possible. Our car is actually quite good on hards. Obviously, I tend to run the hards in all the sessions, so I've got a reasonable idea of how it works.
Experience now, yeah.
But through Eau Rouge, our car had quite a lot of grip, whereas I understand a lot of cars didn't, especially when I was following other cars. I could see how much they were struggling. We thought when we went in that running the hards, we'd try and run them one lap and then pit straight away and get rid of them. But during the race, the way that the cars were positioned, I found myself sat in a position I could save fuel while not losing a lot of time, and I think that it showed in the end result.
Oh, nicely done there, Cy. And you say you've got that really strong result as well, and there's hard tyres, etc., etc. Yamanaka's pace, especially at the end of the race, was hugely impressive. He really surprised us.
He's incredible, isn't he? I mean, you saw on the Nürburgring how fast he could go. He went from 6th to 1st in a lap, and then you put him in the car here and he laps a second faster than any of us in the same car in the wet. And then we knew that as long as we had enough fuel for him to be able to unleash the pace, then we'd be great. And then, well, yeah, like you said, I think I said in Germany, and it's the same here. I'm just really glad that he's on my team.
Well, you all did a great job. Cy, Tristan and Cody Nicola, thank you so much for joining us. Our top 3 finishers, of course, from Toyota, Porsche and Team Mercedes-Benz as well. Really great to have all their company here. Let's head back up to Julia then, who is with Super GT, and Mike Fernie from Drive Time.
Here we go. Wow, yes, we have come to the bar, although unfortunately, why don't we have any drinks is the question that I want to know, although that's not really the question why we're here. So, guys, have you enjoyed the Manufacturer Series?
Yeah, it's been absolutely epic. I love how seriously these guys take it. Like, these guys are really going for it when they're up on the podium.
They've got to, like, they've spent a lot of their lives training for this.
Absolutely. Once they're up on that podium, they're really pumped.
Yeah. How about yourself, Steve? This is not your first rodeo. How did you find today?
I thought it was really good. I was rooting for Peugeot.
Yeah,
and
that was so sad at the start there.
I was really sad when I saw them go into the wall on the first lap, and the dream was over very quickly.
It's just it's when you think about the amount of time that they train, and it all comes down to just like one tiny moment, one little error, and then it can kind of all go wrong. So I mean, obviously, you work for Drive Tribe, which is obviously the guys from Gran Tour, Clarkson, Hammond, and May. I mean, that's interesting. We could get into that in a minute about something. But you've obviously seen lots of different types of kind of like racing and driving. Some a little bit on the silly side. Let's be honest. So how was it, coming to see these guys and seeing just, I mean, it's everything, and it's so similar to real racing. Yeah,
absolutely. We share a lot of motorsports on our platform, and I must say the live streams we've shared of Gran Turismo, there's so much more engagement, so many more people tune in. Sim racing is really taking off, and Gran Turismo are at the head of it. So if it can keep going the way it's going, then genuinely real life motorsports need to watch out.
Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there would love to be, Jeremy Clarkson. But, jobs like that don't come along that often. And obviously to get into racing, a little bit expensive. I mean, can you sort of foresee a future, where, people can basically train, in Gran Turismo? Do you think that we're going to see more of this? Obviously, it has happened before, but, could this be something that grows and grows, and people who want to become racers, they come to GT, and that's how they do it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've been really surprised at is the level of sim there is with GT Sport. People may have thought it was quite an arcadey game back in the day, in the older Gran Turismos, but now the level of sim on GT Sport is amazing. The nuances between the different cars that means one's ahead of the other is really fantastic, and that shows with their driving. Like, these guys are the top sim racers, and the sort of margin between sim racing and real racing is getting smaller and smaller.
It's so blurry.
Yeah. You've got guys here who are testing F3 cars. It's absolutely mental.
And Steve, obviously, you play a lot of different games. What is it about GT that you love above kind of like other games? What's better about it?
I think it just does everything. It does it simply, but it does it very well.
Yeah.
You've got the strategy, you've got the tyres, you've got fuel saving, you've got all those elements in the game, and what it does very well is the quality of racing. You see in a lot of the time in all of these events, it's often going down to the wire. Obviously, Mercedes did really well, and they kind of ran away with it.
Not so worried today
but
in that last
a lot
race.
Of the time,
I mean, unless it was like an undersea cable kind of a wire, but yeah.
But a lot of the time, you get really good quality racing. I think that's just the main thing. I love good racing.
I mean, I think, one of the things I love so much is, this is kind of like the second year that I've been involved in GT, and what I've loved is seeing these guys really, really grow in their confidence as well, because so much of it is to do with that. I mean, you must get to talk to some people who do some pretty impressive racing things. I mean, it surely is so much to do with like kind of mind over matter, and where your head is at when you get into that car.
Yeah, I mean, I competed in the Pro-Am race in New York, and my heart was pumping during that. So these guys up on stage, the adrenaline they must be feeling when they're racing up there, knowing that the thousands of people are watching them, their teammates, especially in the Manufacturer Series, are relying on them to get the car round and maybe go for that gap that's maybe not quite there.
Yeah.
These guys, they must have pretty strong mental games.
Yeah, and Steve, so when are we going to see you up there racing, eh? Come on.
I'd love
He's quick enough.
Yeah, come on, man. What are you doing?
I'd love to compete. I would love to.
Well, come on then.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to ask Tidney for some help. He's normally a very quick guy, and he has his guide series on YouTube. I have to follow a bit of that, but I'm not quite on their level. They're very good, these guys. They're very, very good.
Well, okay, so that's it. You've done it now. You're going to have to come and race with us. I'm going to make sure it happens. It would just be really annoying and keep annoying you until you do it. We're going to chuck it over to Tom and Jimmy now. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Cheers.
Well, Julia, just Jimmy, I'm afraid. Tom not here. He's gone out to do something else. I am joined right now by our Michelin driver of the day. Your debut here, Tom. Tom Lardolo from the Mercedes team. Tom, first of all, congratulations. How's it feel to be driver of the day?
Honestly, it's a bit unreal. Like, I'm just having so many different feelings right now about, the win, being chosen as the driver of the day with the award from Michelin. It's a perfect day at the office, I'd say.
I mean, we can talk about how it feels and for a very long time, but let's talk about it in terms of basics. I mean, you came here, first event, you've been involved in Gran Turismo, you're quite well known online. How has it been translating, coming from an online environment where it's frankly quite comfy, to driving here under all the lights and with us?
Well, you just try to don't pay attention to the lights and the crowd and all sorts of reaction. You just focus on your driving, and that's what I was doing for the entire championship. But sometimes when you hear the crowds just shouting, just like, what's happening? But you immediately just go back to your racing, and I was also helped a lot by Cody and sometimes Anthony with the radio, so you just always focus into what you're doing on track, which is the most important. But from online to offline, there's a difference, that's for sure. But I had some experience before in land events, so I guess that have helped in a way.
I think the question that I'm interested in is, did you expect this success first time out? I mean, winner, and you got the driver. You get 2 hats.
Yeah, 2 hats. That's great. Honestly, obviously, I think I had a lot of expectations because Mercedes had won the events in New York. So I was like, okay, I took in a way someone's spots, and I really wanted to prove that this change in the roster wouldn't affect the results of the 2 other drivers.
Sure.
So I had this expectation on my shoulders, and also, after the results that I had over the course of the season with many wins, I think everybody waited me to be inside the top, at least on podium places. So I'm just happy to have proven that I can drive pretty well.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining me up here.
It was
Tom
a pleasure.
Martler, everyone, Michelin Driver of the Day, and of course Mercedes Manufacturer Champion here at Salzburg.
Well, it is the end of the day today. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. We've got our friend here who's colour coordinating his drink and his outfit, which I think is a pretty spectacular thing to be doing. It's been an absolute fantastic day of racing in the Manufacturer Series. Have you had a good time, Tom?
I've enjoyed it, immensely. It's been brilliant, hasn't it? Great to see some different sort of elements coming into it. Great to see the team Mercedes on top again, doing exactly what we want to see. Fantastic racing, brilliant action, and more to come tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'm loving how the strategy is coming into play, and these guys are really, really finding their feet and their confidence. But like Tom says, that isn't all the racing for this weekend. No, we are back tomorrow with the Nations Cup Championship, which is every man for himself. Getting in that car, putting your foot down and getting the wind in your hair. So we look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow for the Nations Cup. That's goodbye from us.